Hey, first Bright Star morning of 2020. Um, doing the usual little sharing. So this is going to be probably a shorter little live stream because, believe it or not, we have a dentist appointment for one of the kids here at like 8:40. So I gotta definitely be out of here a little bit earlier. We also have a kid that's sick. So I've got a kid down sick, and then another kid that's got a dentist appointment. So sorry, I'm just boosting this out on my page. Yeah, so I've got one kid that's sick, one kid, and I'm sick. One kid that's sick, and then the other kid has a dentist appointment. So like the parenting duties. So the idea was that my husband was going to take the kid to the dentist, and I was going to stay with the older kid, but then that kid got sick. And so, yeah. So anyways, let me mute. I'm getting all these notifications and stuff. This has been like, today is a great example of like, when you want to go after a goal, you have to overcome the resistance to your goal, which actually I posted about last week, I believe, in the post, What's Stopping You? Well, we might get to mug talk, but I'm actually just going to launch right in. You know, I posted a blog post that said, you know, what's stopping you? And what I talked about in that blog post is that, you know, if you are not achieving your dreams, let's say, it's because something is stopping you. Something is stopping you. And it may be a fully valid thing. And I think that what we need to do is be like fully honest about the things that we are letting, here we go, I'm gonna scoot back a bit. The things that we are letting stop us, right? And, you know, so today's a perfect example of me not really letting really valid things like sort of stop me from doing my goals. So I have this goal to do these Bright Star mornings every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. It's 8 a.m. my time, Pacific time. And as I mentioned, my daughter was sick all night. Like, I don't know, she's hit whatever stomach bug seems to be going around. Okay. So it was like puking all night. And then, you know, we've got appointments and things that are kind of, you know, squeezing this. And admittedly, like, even when I made that appointment, I knew it was going to be tight. And that's like, if I have any sort of regrets from this week, it is that I made an appointment at a time that I knew was going to be like super tight. But to me, there's a lesson here. And the lesson is that all of these things could have stopped me from coming here and going live. And they are perfectly valid reasons. And admittedly, last night I was thinking, I'll just send out a notice and say, like, I'm not going live. But I didn't let it stop me, because this is my goal and this is what I want to do. And I'm glad that I made it. And I'm glad that I'm here. And I'm glad that, you know, we're going to make it work out, because that's the thing. So limitations only stop us, limitations only stop us when we allow them to, when they are greater than our motivation. I said this earlier this week, but, you know, I'm an aero engineer. And when it comes to airplanes, there are 4 primary forces at work on an aircraft. So here's like Aero 101. There's 4 primary forces. There's lift, drag. There's thrust, drag, lift, and weight. Okay. So you have lift that dinks you up. Weight is trying to pull you down. You have thrust that's trying to move you forward, and you have drag that's trying to push you back. If you want to move forward, you have to overcome the drag. And a lot of motivational speakers and, you know, blog posts that you read and YouTube videos that you see, everybody's so focused on motivation. Everybody's so focused on, you know, crushing your goal, set a goal you can crush, or, you know, all the, like, here's my favorite one that I see all the time. It's like, there's always like these YouTube thumbnails that say 1% do this, you probably won't, or something like that, right? It's like, they're so focused on the motivation piece, which to me is like the thrust, the engine that's like pushing you forward, that nobody's talking about the drag. Nobody's talking about the weight that's behind you, that's dragging you and stopping you. Because that's the thing. If you wanted your dream, you would have done it by now. You know, if nothing was stopping you, you would have done it. So things are always going to be stopping you. And I think that it can be hard to really look closely at what's stopping you. And I'll say own it. Like, and it sometimes in my life, I've had to make the choice that I'm going to consciously go for, or I'm going to consciously give up on a goal that I had, because the thing that was stopping me was enough of a bar. Okay. Let's see, what's another good example of this? So another good example of this is, and actually I should probably set a topic for the day, because I'm just like, I just launched into it, because like I said, so the topic of the day is essentially more on the what's stopping you. And then I also want to give a quick little preview of what I'm going to do in January in terms of the blog and everything like that. But so a good example of this is fitness routine, right? You know, how many people want to work out every day, or, you know, 5 times a week, or whatever the recommendation or whatever they want to do, right? And I was that way too. And, you know, in my particular case, I used to do martial arts. That was like my workout. That's like how I stayed active. And the thing about martial arts, though, is it's usually a class. It's usually 2 to 3 times a week. It's usually in the afternoon, evening. So I had to make a decision about what I really wanted. Did I want to continue in the martial arts, which is something I love to do, or did I want to you know, find a different way, like find other ways to work out? Because for me, the class times, like being able to commit, and that was the other thing with martial arts classes, is you really got to go. You got to go. You can't miss a class and things like that. Like you got to be consistent. And so there came a point where in my life where I was looking at the class schedules and I was looking at my life, and I had 2 kids. I thought I wanted to keep doing it, but I had to be really honest about why either I was missing practice, or why I didn't want to go, or why, or, you know, what was stopping me from continuing that. I had to be very honest with myself. And the truth was, the timing was not enough. Like the what it would have taken for me to make it to class was a hindrance, if you will. Like it wasn't enough to overcome, or my desire to continue was not enough to overcome those hindrances. And so I decided to step back and stop and do something different. And then I had to realign, like, what do I really want? And I realized what I really want is to stay active, you know, to have more flexibility in my workouts and things like that. Now, part of that is my personality. Like, I totally get it. But like, part of it is also being very clear on what was stopping me before and refocusing myself. And so, you know, that's kind of what's up for me right now. I don't know why I'm getting messages. Sorry. As I mentioned, we have like some kid issues going on. Okay. But yeah, so yeah, be really clear and honest with yourself about what is stopping you. What is really stopping you? And do you want to, I'll say, let that thing stop you? And sometimes it will be valid. Like I said, today I could have canceled, or I could have not gone live, and probably there wouldn't have been a big consequence, and probably it was fully valid, you know, because I had these little kids. And that's the other thing is there's no like completely wrong choice, right? It's just each choice that you make is moving you towards something, is you know, making a progress, or it's a step in a direction. And so in my particular case, I wanted to go live because partially it's the discipline of doing this, and I made a commitment and I want to keep it up. It's a routine. And then part of it is, this is the practice. And this is also the message I want to help other people navigate. And that is that when there is resistance, and there will be something. And that's the other thing is, you know, you listen to Tony Robbins, or you listen to Oprah, and they talk about how there's going to be setbacks, there's going to be failures, there's going to be limitations. And you're like, what are you actually talking about? Well, what they're talking about is, one day you're going to have a commitment at 8 a.m. and your kid is going to be up puking all night. So how are you going to do it? Like, how are you going to get past a sick kid in order to be at the place that you said you were going to be at 8 o'clock, right? And like I said, this right here, what I'm talking about, like me being down here talking to you guys, very small beans, right? Very small stakes. Like this isn't the be all end all. This isn't like my job. But that's the kind of thing I've had to navigate in my role. You know, at my job, they will make a meeting at 7 a.m. And it's like, well, how am I going to do that? What goes on in the back scenes to get you to your place that you want to be? Is a lot of times you have to navigate and pick your battles. And it's actually, it's a crazy thing that can, like, it's a crazy situation that can happen, to get yourself, you know, where you need to be. Here's another example of, you know, navigating difficulties to get through to what had to get done is, at the same time we were certifying an airplane, I was also nursing my kid, my second kid. And so this is 2017. And like, there were times when I was in the mother's room pumping while on a meeting, you know, maybe listening to a meeting or even IMing somebody. And like towards the end there were many a time when I was actually pumping while, you know, messaging people to get things done. And it was, I had to find that balance. I could have just said, oh no, I'm not going to do it, and given up on one or the other. I could have given up on the nursing, on the pumping, or on my role, or I had to figure out a way to like make these things work. And what ends up happening is you end up kind of having a compromise. Like, instead of talking to a person in person, I had to, like, you know, instant message them in order to get the thing done, right? So you have to navigate that. Let me think. Okay, so it's about 8:15. I've had a few people pop on, so that's kind of fun. I never did get to mug talk. This is the Washington version of the Starbucks mug. I have the Ohio and the Washington version. So I know. So let's transition a bit. As I said, this one's probably going to be a little bit shorter today. Let's transition a bit into what's coming up on Bright Start Coaching for the rest of January. So starting next week, where I'm going to be running. So this week. So okay, let me back up. The month of January is setting a routine. Okay. January, building routines, right? That's the theme. That's the theme for January. So this is the end of week one. Week one was all about what's stopping you, getting really clear about where are you now? Like, where are you now with your, let's say, fitness routine? Where are you now with your fitness routine? Where do you want to be? And what's stopping you from reaching your goals. So I really wanted to do prerequisite work, because as I mentioned earlier, you know, so much of the content out there is so focused on the motivation piece that nobody's looking at the drag piece. Nobody's looking at the anchor that's pulling us back. And until you deal with that anchor, until you deal with whatever's holding you back, it becomes even harder to move yourself forward. It's not that you can't, but as I said, thrust must overcome drag. And so if you are going to move forward, you need to minimize that drag. You need to minimize those things that are stopping you. You need to get clear on what they are so you can start cleaning them out. There's going to be something that's always going to be there, right? I do have 2 kids. That's a choice I made, to have 2 kids. They're always going to be there, and they are going to, you know, in some ways be a hindrance. I mean, I love them, so they are also a benefit. They're an inspiration, but there's going to be times, right? I mean, there's human beings that need to be taken care of. So that's what week one is all about. Week 2 is going to be about goal setting. So I already recorded a YouTube video that's going to drop this week, all about setting SMART goals. Probably next week, Bright Star Mornings, we'll be talking about goal setting. At work, we're going to be talking about goal setting. Like, January is the month of goals. And so week 2, Bright Star Coaching is going to help you work through that. The week 3 is actually establishing a routine. Like, what does it take to actually build a routine? You know, just that simple. Like, what does it actually take to build up a routine? And it's kind of funny because, you know, in the blog post that I posted about this, you know, I sort of said, well, wait, January is supposed to be about building routine, and you're not going to talk about it till week 3. Well, yeah, that's true. I'm not going to talk about it till week 3 because I think that it's important to do the pre-work. I think a lot of times people launch right into the goals, especially New Year's resolutions. New Year's resolutions are the worst, you know, culprit of this. And that is, they launch right into the goals without first doing the pre-work, without first doing the preparation. So week 3 is establishing the routine. I'm pulling up my notebook just to make sure I get it right. Week 4 is going to be all about when the going gets tough. It's it's kind of related to what's stopping you, but now it's more in the case of when you're going through your routine, you're headed towards your goal, you know, you're doing your couch to 5K, or you're training for your first Spartan race, or you're doing your first whole 30, there's going to be a time when you're going to want to quit in the midst of that. And that's kind of where I'm at today with this video, with this live stream, was I'm in the midst of my routine, right? Like, you know, I don't know, this is like Bright Star Mornings number 10 or something like that. And so the going got tough. How do you deal with that? That's going to be week 4. And then week 5, I'm calling sustain the gains, which is once you have a nice routine, how do you keep it going? I know for some of us, like once you get a nice routine going, you almost want to quit because you're bored by it. Now, not everybody's that way. Some people thrive on routine. Some people get into a mode and they are just like workhorses and they just do it forever. But even for those people, it's like, how do you then up your game, right? And so that's what the last week is going to be all about. So, okay, that's really it for today. I've seen more. It's so funny. Like today was a video that almost didn't happen. And I've seen more people pop on the live stream than any of my other videos. And so sometimes it's like part of my goal for 2020, or my theme, sorry, it's my yearly theme, not really a goal. This is not a goal. This is my yearly theme. Is the yearly theme is called for 2020 for me is following my own star. But part of that, there's kind of 2 parts of that. It's trusting myself, but also trusting reality, trusting that things are going to work out. And so I feel really amazed that in this video that almost didn't happen, but I trusted myself. I went after what I really wanted to do. I've had more people come on. You know, whether they got something out of it, I don't know, but it does feel good to me to see those little eyeballs. And like at one point it was like 3 eyeballs, which for me at this point is like a huge deal. So 3 eyeballs, it's like a, what do you call that? Like no, Cyclops just has 1 eye. It's a 3rd eye. It's like my 3rd eye chakra just like opens up. And it's really cool. So I'm glad I was able to do it. And I'm going to get done the other things that need to get done today. It's 8:20, so we have enough time to get this kid to the dentist. Let's do it. Let's have a great day. See you guys. Bye.